What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So it's what it is. It's the biggest announcement that Sorare have made so far. When we're going to talk about the roadmap a little bit, I'm not going to read through it. You know, there's other channels that have gone out there and read through it all, and I'm sure that you've read through it all, and you don't need me to, right? But what I'm going to do is talk about some of my thoughts on some of the changes, but then because it's my channel, I'm going to talk about my gallery, right? And how it's impacted my gallery. Now, the first thing first is I think this was a necessary change. It had to happen. There was a couple of key pieces of information that Nicholas and the other guy, I can't remember his name, and it was the other one, with Dan, that they were talking about. And they said that 75% of the money or something was going out to thresholds, and that wasn't sustainable for the platform. And this has been a big thing for probably, I'd say, 6 to 8 months, where people were saying, is this platform going to zero? How sustainable is the business model? Surely this can't go on like this, etc. So I think that everybody knew that something like this was coming, and what they didn't really expect was it to all happen at once. But I'm glad it has. So after reading everything, obviously there's going to be a few points in there that people are not happy about, that I'm not happy about, but overall I think it was necessary. I think that it's a great change, and I think that there's a lot in there that makes sense. Now, when I apply that to my own gallery, as people know who have been following the channel, you're probably aware that I've been buying cards specifically for Cap 240 in terms of Super Rare to try and get some ETH out of that, and I think that I've hit it maybe once or twice since I've been doing that. Obviously there's Christmas break, etc., which could probably come at the wrong time for me. But what I tried to do there was to buy super rare cards that would still be able to compete to a decent level if something like this was to happen. And I mean, I was, let me just transition. You know, I was going to do a video about some of the super rares that I've picked up, but if I just filter this by super rares, and again, I will touch back on the announcement around my thoughts, but I'm going to touch into my gallery as well. So I bought Steve Clark and Johnny Russell of late, and I don't think I've done a video about them yet. Now, Johnny Russell, I think he's a tier 3 super rare at the moment, and a guy like this can compete. All right, we're going to be moving to a super rare competition. Is a super rare competition. There's no rare plus, no rare pro, whatever you want to call it. They're gone. But this guy can compete with some of the big boys. I mean, this is a few seasons ago, but that's why I bought him in. Okay, he's kind of half and half. You could probably play him in cap, but he's good enough to play there. You got Steve Clark there. I mean, that's your entry point as well. So I've probably got like a year left, maybe if I'm lucky, 2 years left out of Steve Clark. But he gets clean sheets. He's my entry point. So I don't think that you need like I don't know, in terms of MLS, like an Andre Blake and a Messi super rare to compete in these new super rare competitions. But obviously that would help. Okay, so I'll probably jump the gun a little bit. So we'll come back to my gallery in a minute, but let's take a look at some of the images that Sorare used in their announcement. And what I'd really like is, I don't think anybody is listening to this who worked for Sorare or whatever, but have the medium post, right? Have it. I mean, it was long as fuck, wasn't it? Really. It was quite confusing in places. You had to jump from different pages to work out different pieces and different pieces of information. But what I would really like is just a video, just a 10-minute video, and saying, well, this is what's changing here. This is what's changing here. We're really well constructed, something that's visual to keep engagement. And then say, if you want to know more, or if you want to read this in a different way or absorb that information, then go over to the Medium post and you can read it all. But hey, will that happen? I don't know. So basically what they're saying is the classic season competitions here, or the in-season ones, depending on what cards that you've got. You can win some cards in there, the in-season card rewards, and then you can play the in-season card rewards in a new competition in order to win cash. Okay, so pretty simple there, I would say. So what are these competitions? The new ones, as we've seen, are these. And again, coming back to my gallery, what I was really happy about was the fact that MLS is now in this challengers mode, because the I can't even speak. Spit it out. The Eredivisie, the JPL, so the Jupiler, and the MLS are predominantly where I play my cards, right? Belgium, Dutch, and America. Now, in here, surprise one that we've already spoken about with the Danish league and probably the Brazilian league as well. But we've got the Turkish league, the championship, like English championship, and the Portuguese league as well. And I think that's a decent group. Obviously, the champions being the big five, right? So that makes sense. It'd be interesting to see when Mbappe goes to Real Madrid and some of the other probably key players from that league move, whether that actually drops down to challengers in the next few years. Maybe it won't. And then we've got contenders down here, which is basically everybody else. Now, there was always, I think this is a good move because previously we had obviously the Americas and the Europe and stuff like that. And I always thought that was a little bit wrong anyway. The fact that now we've got these groupings and it's not by region and it's actually by real life kind of rankings as to what that league offers and how good technically that league is. Now, some people are going to say, well, the MLS is nowhere near as good as, I don't know, the Eredivisie or whatever. And those opinions are always going to be had. But if we're going on real life football, this is kind of why they've done it. They've done the top 5 leagues in the world are basically these ones. The next group should be these ones, and then everything else that they're actually got teams for, or they've got a license for that league or whatever, comes into here. And I don't mind it. As I said, I'm looking at it from my gallery, and there's been so much stuff that's been said around on Twitter about all of this, and at the end of the day, everyone's probably 95% of the Sorare community, they're interested in their own gallery, right? So if it makes sense for them, they're going to be happy. If it doesn't make sense to them, they're going to be pissed off. Always, they're looking at it from their standpoint, right? And that's why I'm trying to step back and take a look at it and say, is this good for Sorare? And personally, I think it is. So here are the groups, and within these groups we've obviously got then divisions, D1 down to D4 I think it might be, depending on how many people are entering, and then within those divisions you play against similar people. So there are some people out there saying, well, my cards are not good enough to compete against the WoWs, and that's true. I'm in that boat as well. However, the WoWs are probably going to be playing in the higher division than the lower division. You're going to be playing against people that are potentially similar to you. Now, how they do this, I don't know. I don't know whether you get to enter when you're building your team and you say, oh, well, I actually want to enter this into Challengers Division 3. I have no idea that's going to happen. From what I've read and what I've understood, I think that it depends on your gallery, depends on your win ratio and all that sort of stuff as to what division that they put you in. But I'm not sure on that. It'd be interesting to see how that works. So these are the new divisions and competitions, and I personally like it. So what happens between now and when this fully kicks in? So we've got the Premier League in-season competition that comes back. Obviously, we had the Winter Special as well, something that I didn't play and I'm not going to be playing. And then we've got the Beat the Game mode. Now, I don't think I've got the image up for this. No, I haven't. But let's talk about Threshold. So, as I said earlier, most of my gallery is all about the Threshold in terms of super rares, right? And yes, it is a little bit of a kick in the teeth that the thresholds are going to be leaving, but again, I think it's necessary. It's probably a bit more of a kick in the teeth that they're going to start this from the new way, this new beat the game mode next week. All right, it would have been nice maybe to start that in April. To give people a chance to farm back some of their investment in the next few weeks, but there is still a chance. So you can pick the almost like the easy, medium, and hard mode, so to speak, if you're talking about like a game in terms of its difficulties, and then use cap 240 players, put them in there, and then see what you get, and then you can get potentially more or whatever. We've all read it, right? So at least there's still a chance. Now, what's probably going to happen is that people are going to either sell up now in terms of the 240 super rares that they've got. And again, I'm talking about super rare level just because that's where I've been playing mostly on the capped roles, cap modes, but it's probably applicable in other scarcities as well. And then probably in a couple of months, So yeah, they either sell now, in a couple of months they sell, or they just basically hold and just utilize them and see what happens to their career. Now, I'm probably in the latter for that. Now, I do have a few cards up on the market, but I still think that those cards can actually compete in these in the kind of new modes that are coming. But yeah, at least we've still got 6 months or 7 months, whatever it may be, in terms of trying to graft and trying to get some thresholds, which I'm happy about. So the next one here is March 29th. This is where the new competitions are going to come into effect, when you'll have that champion challenger, champions, challengers, and contenders modes that come out. And that's good for me because, again, I play these 3 leagues here, right? And to be able to put them into they're not regionals, into a competition that's not all-star, where I could have my Carlos Hill with my Lars Unestal or Robin Proper or something like that. That's exciting for me. I do actually like that. So come March, at least I'll have a few months before the European season ends, and then obviously predominantly I'll be playing the MLS, but in challengers. Now, the global, so All Star actually continues up until August as well. It'd be interesting to see whether they still have cash prizes in the All Star. I don't know. That's probably something that I maybe read and forgot, or maybe that's not even out there. And then the capped competitions, but in the form of Beat the Game mode. So there's going to be no cards in Beat the Game mode, from what I understood. It's just you're literally playing for that cash. And then we've got starting in August where the full game mode actually starts. And this is what it's going to look like. Sorry, this is the transition, and then this is what. No, I didn't even get off that image. It shows how well prepared that I am for this video, right? Yeah, this is kind of what it looks like as to when we get to that March 29th date and all of the competitions here. Now, what's going to be interesting is how they mint cards, because when the in-season one starts, so for example, let's jump back to my gallery, right? I've got this Johnny Russell. This is currently an in-season card, so to speak, because new cards haven't come out yet. So it's the latest version. So say we was going live with in-season competitions in 2 weeks time when the MLS starts, or 3 weeks time. So this becomes a classic card, surely, if it's on the day one of the new season. So then if they're auctioning a couple of new seasons card, the pool, I don't know what image it is. Yeah, so here in the in-season challengers, there's not going to be many teams that can enter. So you're going to be at advantage of winning. So I wonder if there's going to be a transition within the competition itself as to whether you can use more classic cards, or whether for the first month of that season it's just a free-for-all, it's classic or in season or whatever it may be. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I can't really think of a way around it, to be honest. So probably watch this space, and there's going to be some more information coming out. But I think that I don't know. There's a little glitch in the system there, I think. But surely they would have already thought about this, right? Now, moving on to something else, and this is where my gallery comes into it. In here, as I said earlier, I have moved to Super Res a little bit more. Now, 3 of these Super Res I can't even use because they've moved to non-covered leagues, so that's always good, isn't it? But some of these are, people would say, not good enough. So Stephen Kingsley, is he not good enough to play in the new Super Rare competition? Because Rare Plus is gone. Rare Plus is gone. It's finished. So I can't play him alongside a Carlos Hill and a Hector Herrera. I basically have to play him alongside the Super Rares that I've got. Again, looking at his scores, he still gets the odd 80. It's not consistent, so you're looking at kind of infrequent weeks. But that's okay. You shouldn't. I think some people expect to win every week, and I personally don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to win every single week. You know, who wouldn't? But unless you're a massive wow in this game and you've got the best cards in all scarcities or whatever, you're not gonna win every week. So play to win every 6 weeks, something like that. And I'm fine with that. So yeah, this is what it looks like at the moment for me. And I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Super Res. So now Super Res, you have to play in Super Res. Now what they did release is that you can play the scarcity below as well. So I could play this Johnny Russell in a rare competition, but then to a point, why would you do that? Why didn't you just sell the super rare and then buy the rare? But that's where they're kind of bridging that gap between rare plus in terms of you can buy a super rare, play them in the lower scarcity. Yes, you don't get the 20% or whatever it is for the super rare, but you can then start to progress and then buy another super rare and then move up that way. And again, that's fine. I like it that you can utilize these cards somewhere else. Does that increase the competition? Because again, Wales will have potentially more super rares that they can't get into a super rare competition. So then they play that good card in the rares, which they wouldn't have done before because potentially they didn't have the rare. I don't know. We're going to have to see what that kind of looks like because of obviously there's going to be multi-entry. So it is good in a way that I can still utilize this card. But what worries me is this. This is what worries me. Now, I've always wanted to play from a super rare level and get some super rare teams out there, and I like this because yes, I enjoy playing Rare Plus because you could have those top quality rares with decent super rares and be in the mix. But I've always thought that was a little bit weird. I've always thought, well, if you're playing super rares, you should be playing super rares. If you're playing limiteds, then you should be playing limited competitions. So I think that makes a lot more sense now, and it's simple. But this does concern me in terms of the prize pool. Now, if I'm playing probably Division 2 with maybe some of the super rares that I've got, if I'm playing that Johnny Russell with, I don't know, Julian Gressel, with a Brooks Lennon who can smash, with Steve Clark who can do well at home, etc., I'm probably going to be in this Division 2. I would have thought maybe scraping into Division 1 here and there. I have no idea. But the rewards that they give out, I don't know if it's worth it. And that's my concern. I could go out there and buy this super rare that I've been looking at for a long, long time. I could go out there and buy him now, but I'm not because I genuinely don't know what to do. And if you're in the same boat, I mean, drop a comment down below as to what your thoughts are overall on this, but to how you're going to manage your gallery, or you kind of like me and you're sitting tight thinking, what do I do here? Where do I go? Because if you're in Division 3 and you win you win it, a tier 2 super rare, that's great. That's going to be utilized. But if you win a tier 5 one and you've come in the top 10 or the top 8, is that worth it, or should you be selling your super rares to then compete a little bit better in the rare division? I don't know, and I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are in the in between, like me. I mean, I put a tweet up yesterday saying, hands up if you basically have no idea what to do with your gallery or where to buy. And there was a lot of likes on that. So I'm definitely not the only one here, but I really do think that I know this is only for image purposes or graphic purposes, whatever it is, but I just want this to be a bit better. You have to. It's almost like, I mean, I haven't got it up now. I've closed it down, but it's almost like that this new update, or from first impressions, and I might be totally wrong, right? But this more update is for the limited and the rares galleries, because the rares seems like there's better rewards in there. I don't know. I just really hope that this is better to entice people to move up, because if people are like me, where they've got a selection of super rares and they've got a selection of rares, and some of them are good, some of them are okay, some of them are probably pretty shit that you bought for your capped modes, is what's enticing them saying, oh, do you know what? I'm going to stick with super rare. I'm going to sell my rares and move into super rares because I'm going to spend more money on the game, which then there's a bigger pot at the end, or there's there's a bigger incentive for me to play higher up the chain. At the moment, I look at this and say, well, there's not a bigger incentive for me to be playing here at all. And we're looking at classic champions, so maybe the if you have in season champion, maybe the cash rewards are going to be so good that you will then need to win new season cards to fucking hell new season cards to then play in the new season competitions to then win cash, and that cash is going to be amazing. I don't know yet, so I'm reserving judgment. I'm certainly not in a position at the moment where I am thinking about selling up, or I know that phrase pisses some people off, right? But selling my gallery, I'm not there. I enjoy Sorare too much. Well, too much really, and I think that 80% of what has been released I'm happy with. Probably 10% I'm okay with it, and 10% I'm not. The Rare Plus going, that touches a nerve for me. Maybe All Star going does as well, Thresholds going as well, but again, I understand it all. They're not kind of ripping it away from you in terms of Threshold straight away, so I can graft a little bit there. Rare Plus, it makes sense that you can then play with the scarcity below. And then All-Star, yeah, that's going to piss certainly some people off. But if we are trying to follow, or they are trying to follow real life football, then what they're trying to say is that a Jude Bellingham is better than a Carlos Hill. And you have to pay them in a certain league, and if you have 100 out of Jude Bellingham, you're going to get better rewards than you would potentially with 100 out of Carlos Hill, rather than playing them in the same competition, because arguably it's harder for Jude Bellingham to get 100 than in real life than it is Carlos Hill. So I get it all. And I do like it, even though my gallery has moved to Super Rare. I mean, if I look at this, right, my gallery is probably in the worst place that it has been for 18 months, I would say. Looking back, I had Griezmann rares. I had, I don't even know who else, but I had some of the top rares. I had Grimaldo about a month ago, pretty much the best defender in the game, right? And I made the decision to sell that to then get into Cap 240. So yeah, I've been bent over a little bit, but it was a necessary change, and one that we knew we kind of knew was coming, right? So what does it look like in terms of my gallery? I know that this is probably going to be a long ass video, but now we're going to get into my gallery and my thoughts on some things. So let's go with where I'm going to be playing, basically, which is challenges. Champion Europe. Have I even got any cards in here? Yeah, these guys are probably going to go. I mean, Fernandez, who knows what's going to happen to him? Maybe he gets a move, but Teddy Tuma might go for me, because there might not be any use for me to have him. Niang's on sale. I think that he's going to do actually quite well in the Italian league, in terms of getting some goals. So it could be useful to some extent, but that would be more on the special weeklies or whatever's coming there. Excuse me. So he's gone. Now, in terms of my challengers, does any move from a different league? Yeah, my Scottish boys, they go down into, what's it called? Contenders. But I do have enough contenders to actually get out a super rare team. So let me filter it by this. So let's first off talk about my challengers set. So I've got 26 players there. A couple are going to leave the gallery before then as well. But I've got a nice group of players there to be playing an okay level to start with in that division. That's why I'm happy about the MLS merging with Eredivisie and with the JPL as well. But then I've also got, is there a quick way of clearing this? I'll just have to click off it. So second division, and who was the other one? It was the Premiership, right? For Scottish. Probably should have had this prepped, but where is it? Am I just totally missing something? Russian Premier League, blah, 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 blah. Premiership, there you go. So I've got enough here, those 5 super rares, and all in the kind of right position, so to speak, to actually play super rare contenders, to potentially win new cards and farm it from there. Now, if they sell, they sell before then. If they don't, they don't. So I'm probably going to be playing mostly challengers, and maybe a little bit in contenders. I'm not too interested in champions at the moment, but I think my gallery's well set up for challengers and doing okay in there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you get out of this video. It's me just talking about a few of my thoughts, and basically, in a nutshell, not knowing what the hell to do with my gallery in terms of next purchases. The main thing for me is, if the super rare competitions are a bit better in terms of the prizes, then I'll probably make that transition. Keep one or two rare teams, or maybe one rare team in Challenger, and then move up to that super rare and just go for it. But who knows what's going to come out, right? But the main thing that I took away from this is that old cards are not going to be useless. Now, you can win new cards with old cards. With those new cards, you can win cash, or you could sell those new cards to get that cash. That's the way that I look at it. Now, people are asking, well, what about my shit cards in terms of tier 4s and tier 5s? Well, they shouldn't really be worth too much anyway, but they should still have some value. Now, with the special weeklies, it's going to be really interesting to see whether they get those right, because those tier 4s and tier 5s could come into play there. It could be a special weekly around, I don't know, over 35 in terms of age, and it could be which means they're obviously less value because they're older, because you don't know if they're going to retire, but you can actually use them to win some new in season cards. Or it could be another Cats mode comes out for that week, and you'll be able to use some of those cards. It could be it could be you could only use tier 4 or tier 5 cards in these competitions. I don't think they're going to take away value tremendously, but what they're trying to say is that star players are star players, okay, and they are in that star tier or tier 1 for a reason, and that's where you can win more. It's enticing you to spend more money, and that's what a business should be doing. It should be enticing you to spend more money. Now, if you're spending money into tier 4s and tier 5s, you can't be expecting the best rewards. That's just not the way that it's going to work, in my opinion. And there's going to be some people that disagree with that, but overall, I think this is a good update, even though that it's going to challenge a lot of people as to what they do with their galleries. It's certainly challenging me. I know it's only been released for like 24 hours or whatever it may be, but I'm already thinking about my next step. And I think it's an exciting time for Sorare. We're going to see some people leave. We're going to see some people stay and just try and succeed with what they've got, or there's going to be some people that are going to invest even more into the game. But I think long term, this is needed. I think long term it improves the game, and yeah, I'm all right with it. I'm okay with it. If you like this video, hit the like button. I'm really interested in seeing what people's comments are down below. If you don't follow me on Twitter as well, go ahead and do that at the Parrot Press, and this is where I tweet, obviously, and talk about some of this stuff. But yeah, guys, if you are new around here as well, hit the subscribe button. I don't know if I've already said that, but hey, I'm not going to edit this video, so it's just going to go out as it is. And I'll see you in the future.